Welcome to Hope Matters Radio, hosted by your local real estate and finance expert, James Hope.
So Steve, as we look at this placement, raising capital, the contractual obligations, where do we go?
So, when you have the private placement and we have investors coming in, a lot of the investors that invest in the private placements, they don't want to do all the work. So, that's where I come in and running the fund and buying the assets to be able to give the investor, a fair return on their money. We go and we'll buy a really good piece of real estate. We might actually rehab that property and sell that property, or we might hold it in the portfolio. Another thing that we love to do is we love to own the mortgages, the reperforming mortgages, where we've created a workout with somebody and to keep them in their home, and they're paying on their mortgage, and we're getting 18 to 20% returns on that workout, and then it just flows through the private placement, and the investors gets an 8 to 10% return, and it works really well.
And when you're talking about notes or these reperforming mortgages, they can be sold at any time to another investor that may want to take that over if you find the need to move capital. And they come in all varying lengths. They could be 5 years, 10, 15, 20, 30 years in length. So your rate of return is earned over a multitude of different time frames.
Yeah, here's what's really, really cool. If I buy a mortgage, usually I buy mortgages at like 45 or 50 cents on the dollar. So I might pay $20,000 for a mortgage and the payoff is 40. Okay. What you have to realize is you can look at your own amortization table. It'll probably make you a little upset how much interest you're actually paying towards the principal. So when we get these mortgages, when we get the mortgages worked out, their payment could be $300 towards that $20,000, but there's really only about $15 coming off of the $20,000. So let's think about this. So let's just say I buy a note for $20,000 and the homeowner's been paying $300 for 6 or 7 years. We'll take $15, in a year is only about 170 bucks. Take that out 5 years, that's about $800 that came off of that $40,000 mortgage. So they still owe about $39,000. So if I'm getting an 18 to 20% return or a 22% return, after that note's been performing for a year or two, I could actually sell that note, for what I paid for that note 5 years, but I collected $300 worth of payments for 5 years.
Wow.
Does that get you guys? Does that get you guys excited?
Sure. And you actually bring up another point. So if somebody were paying, let's say it's a $40,000 loan, they're paying $600 a month, and it's a 10-year repayment. Part of the workout could be that you reduce the debt load to $30,000, take that 10-year repayment, stretch it out over, say, 20 years. You're now lowering the payment, you've lowered the principal, and you've actually stretched out the earning rate of return that you can now generate for your portfolio. And you've helped everybody tenfold over.
Yeah. I mean, you actually want to help the homeowner. But in our situation, if we have a note that's been performing for over a year, good pay history, it's all in the pay history, and I'm getting a 20% return on that note, I can actually sell that note to somebody. I'm sure someone would love like a 10 or a 12% return, and they could even buy that note in their IRA. So that's about a $10,000 or $12,000, $13,000 profit margin for us if we want to sell that note. But really for us is about holding the paper over a long period of time.
It creates what's called passive income, or I call it the set it and forget it income. It's Steve-less. Steve doesn't have to do anything except look at his bank account as the payments are automatically credited on a monthly basis.
Hope Matters Radio is brought to you by the Real Estate Radio Network. Visit HopeMattersRadio.com for more information. That's HopeMattersRadio.com. We'll be right back.